Welcome to episode 76 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. This week, we witnessed an event that encapsulated many of the aspects involved in the Rebirth Revolution. I'm referring to the Oprah Winfrey interview with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you do. Besides being breathtakingly raw and revealing, it shows us what the revolution is all about. It may seem messy, but it is really a great example of growth, and is being offered up for all of us to dig a bit deeper. This is more than just celebrity gossip. It is a flashpoint for the culture. There were so many aspects to it that we have discussed in prior episodes. Let's start with identity, self-worth, and associations. We have been sold a bill of goods about what it would take for us to accept ourselves, let alone what it would take for us to feel pride and self-love. We have been told that if we were rich enough, thin enough, beautiful enough, smart enough, famous enough, powerful enough, and capable of attracting the love of someone else, that we would feel all the good feelings. Our entire culture is based on this myth. When will we be willing to put that myth to rest? Meghan Markle is absolutely everything that everyone could ever hope to be. She has it all. She is it all. If anyone on this planet should feel happy and secure, it would be her. But here she was, in the royal palace, wanting her life to end, and her cries for help were unanswered because to admit the need for help would go against everything that people believe about the institution that is the monarchy. She does such a powerful job of educating us on what actually matters. None of the aspects of her wonderfulness were able to shield her from reality. Instead of being enlightened by this truth, many are furious that the flat-out lie we have been sold about what brings value to our lives is being disputed. There are people who think that she should just be quiet and enjoy all this privilege that people imagine that she has. They imagine that the privilege of wealth and fame and beauty is the antidote to human needs and emotions. But she told the truth about what privilege actually is. It isn't fancy gowns, spectacular titles, fame, or fortune. True privilege is the ability to live your life authentically, being able to love who you love, live by the rules that make sense to you, and to speak your truth. It is freedom, not the trappings of the life that she became part of because she fell in love with Harry. For people to wake up to the revolution, we will need those who might have bought into the lie. We need them to have the courage to tell us that they have figured out that it is a lie. And that is super courageous. That is a monumental public service. The perfect life is a fallacy. Our ability to find meaning and worth through external means is a dangerous lie. She also has been shown that the associations we form, in her case joining the royal family, come at a cost. To become part of any institution requires that you forego some of your individuality, some of your freedom. Once a member, it is expected that you will support and defend that institution no matter what they do to you. And it is important to recognize that every institution will defend and protect itself, while rarely defending and protecting any individual member. The need for the institution to remain intact is more important than anything else or anyone who is a member. This is not limited to the royal family. This is the rule for every institution. How complicated and painful it must be when the institution and the family are intertwined like in the royal family. In the Rebirth Revolution, we will be pressed to re-examine each and every institution. We have the work of determining whether or not the institution is operating in a moral capacity or whether it needs to exist at all. In the revolution, the fallback position of, "This is how it's always been done," no longer holds the importance it once did. We are rethinking it all. To that end, circumstances will arise that force us to do the rethinking. When Meghan joined the royal family, it was a perfect opportunity for their institution to grow away from their racist history and join the world as it is now. But that is not going to be an easy thing for a system that is deeply rooted in white supremacy and bloodlines. The fundamental belief that the royals are superior to commoners must be upheld for their very existence to make sense to some. So when a commoner, and a commoner from the United States no less, comes along and is able to capture the imaginations and forge connections with everyday people as easily as she did, this puts the entire system and its relevance into question. If she can do the job well, then their imagined superiority no longer makes sense. That's got to be a very threatening realization. I've never been into the whole royal thing. It generally is of no interest to me. I think that most of the problems in this Earth School come from some people thinking that they are more special than others. It doesn't go well for those who are thought of too highly, nor does it work out for those who maintain the alleged special people's delusion through devotion. We are all special, and none of us are special. We are all just flawed, struggling humans who are working at different levels of spiritual awareness on different challenges. The challenge that Meghan and Harry are working on is the difficult task of being pattern interrupters. While their motivations may be different, they have joined together to effect change. The change may have been personal, but their sharing of the change can affect us all. I'm moved by the history that Harry has lived, losing his mother as he did. Fortunately, he recognized the pattern that chewed Diana up and spit her out, and was willing to do whatever it took to keep that pattern from being repeated. He, unlike his father, put his loved ones first. I can understand why this is a double whammy for Charles. Not only did he not get his way with how their lives would play out, but his inability or unwillingness to protect Diana is dredged back up and pulled again to the front of people's minds. So now he has failed his wife, his son, his daughter-in-law, and his grandchildren. That can't feel great. The way our lives roll out fascinates me. The painful wrongs from Harry's childhood have returned in a form that allow him as an adult to make a different choice, and in doing so, he can heal some of the pain of the choices he had no control over in his past. He can be a better husband and father. This is our most powerful way of healing the past, but it won't be easy. It is always treacherous to be a pattern interrupter. It is an act that forces people to rethink and possibly learn something new. As humans, we are often reluctant to do that. We go along to get along and find comfort in nothing ever changing. But that is not why we are here. We are here specifically to learn and grow. Part of interrupting a pattern is the painful but necessary recognition of who in your life does not have your best interest, or in this case, your very survival, at heart. It is difficult to recognize that connections you have made have been bad emotional investments, but this happens in everyone's lives. If you're going to be a pattern interrupter, you can count on catching flack from all sides, even people you thought you could count on. The discomfort and pain that Meghan and Harry felt, which propelled them to break off and create a new life, has now brought discomfort and pain to everyone else involved in their story, who also need to grow. As humans, we resist change as much as we possibly can. Their story details just how bad it had to get before they were willing to make a change. In offering up their experience, they give us the gift of being able to rethink our own situations before they reach that same level. As is our way, their move makes us feel that we need to choose sides. We need to figure out for ourselves whether we side with the monarchy, with all its flaws, or decide with those who decided to break from it. This isn't entirely true. You could decide to feel nothing and side with no one, but that's tough to do. You either feel empathy for them based on the story of what they've been through, or you don't. Some people don't. They feel that the elevated status that they have been granted should result in nothing but gratitude and silence. I've seen some comments that use the price of their wedding as reason enough for them to suffer in silence. Is there an actual amount of money that means you no longer have the freedom to choose what to do with your life? Is there a title or position that strips you of your humanity? If so, why would anyone aspire to those heights? It just sounds like a well-appointed prison. One man, who has always had a firm grasp of the microphone and seemingly unending, cruel, and hateful opinions, is out of a job after expressing his stand on this interview, along with his inability to hear opposing opinions. His take on all of this upset so many people that he no longer has his position. Is that fair? I think it's just the collective culture coming to terms with what they can and cannot live with. At the lower levels of spiritual awareness, we feed off of cruelty. At the mid levels, we can just sort of ignore cruelty, shrug it off. At higher levels, we can no longer tolerate cruelty or those for whom it is their lifeblood. Times and people change. As the collective culture levels up or levels down, we will want to hear the voices of people who align with the average. The loss of his public platform may just be a sign that we have taken a couple of steps forward. Will this have any effect on the celebrity press which has been a huge part of this cancer? Only if the majority of people decide that they are no longer interested in the tearing down of public figures. The reaction to the documentary about how Britney Spears was eviscerated is encouraging, but the press will give us what we want. We have to change our appetites if we want them to feed us something more nourishing. Some side with Meghan and Harry and think that means they need to tear down the monarchy. But that is basically saying that the monarchy has no ability to grow into something more moral, just, and in tune with the world as it is. Do we know that it can't? This flashpoint is an opportunity for everyone. Dragging truth out into the light forces us to look at what is working and what is no longer working. Ultimately, we all need to decide on an individual level, as well as a cultural level, whether we want to cling to the past or if we want to create a better future. We have to decide if we want to feel empathy for others, even if we have bought into the fairy tale that proposes that they are somehow more special than we are. We need to either let go of the idea of specialness or embrace the fact that we are all special and as such entitled to decent treatment, empathy, and grace. We need to decide how we're going to treat one another. Here in the United States, we are given to reimagining. That is the origin story of this country. We tend to be less steeped in tradition. That gives us a leg up on reimagining the future that will be better for all of us. We need to decide who we are going to be and how much compassion we are able to offer. And we need to look at finding compassion for everyone involved in this situation, because they're all just being human. They are all fighting to get their needs met. They are all just struggling to find a way that works. Keep watching for other clashes like this one. They are not simple conflicts between people we don't really know. They are flashpoints where we all get to decide where we stand, what we believe, and what we are willing to do to get better. The Rebirth Revolution works for the betterment of all. Thanks for listening to Rebirth Revolution. I hope it helps you make sense of some of what is going on. I hope it helps you connect the public with the personal, and in doing so, facilitates your own growth. If there are others who you think would benefit from Rebirth Revolution, please pass the word along. Until next week, love your people, appreciate your freedom, grow your love and compassion, and wear your mask. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. This includes royalty. Stay strong and safe and empathetic.